Hi.
Hi there.
Hi everyone. So I'm Mims, photographer, and I'm here with Pummell, or Danielle,
Yes.
makeup artist extraordinaire. I've got a treat today in that Dan has agreed to give us some of her time to give us a little bit of insight into makeup, tips and tricks and do's and don'ts, all the things she has learned, I suppose, as a professional makeup artist. Not everything. She's not going to give us everything today. We wish.
Still learning.
Yeah, still learning. But I've known Danielle for a long time. When I started doing branding sessions a few years back, Danielle, I pulled her in to be the first makeup artist I used on any of my clients. I have a couple I use, but Dan's being my oldest and, can I say favourite?
I hope so.
Favourite. But she does a lot of my clients, and what I love about Dan is that when you take photos, obviously we all know that most of us feel quite uncomfortable in front of the camera. So I believe makeup is a very important aspect of making sure you look and feel great and have confidence when you do step in front of that camera. And Danielle not only makes my clients look great, but she also makes them feel great just through the hour she spends with them before the session. She chats to them, she makes them feel relaxed and they have a laugh, and I think that's a really important part of the shoot as well. And it's a lovely way to do it. So I love working with her. So why don't you tell us a little bit first about you and your business, because people probably, well, other than the clients that you've worked with, for me, people don't know you or who you are, because Dan is not only a makeup artist, but she does a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, I do. So I'm a beauty therapist and a makeup artist. I started studying beauty therapy 15 years ago when I was working in education. And it was sort of a hobby back then, and it's just been this progression into what I love, and I'm really lucky that I get to do it now. I love what I do, and about 10 years ago I got approached to teach makeup. So that's, I guess, that's my favourite thing to do. It's my passion and what I love, and so I started to build up my beauty therapy business, and about 6 years ago we built a salon at home, and it's been really successful, and taking on lots more different things as well.
Do you enjoy working from home?
I love it. It's the best thing that I did.
There can be pros and cons to
that.
There
can be. Now it's great. I've got 2 girls, so it's been really good to be able to, work-life balance, be able to be with them, but really be able to put everything that I can into my job and my work, and it's good. I love it.
Yeah, it's very similar to me, I suppose, in my path, in that I just loved photography, and rather than do it as a hobby, I wanted to just do it as a career because I was so passionate about it, and I feel really lucky as well that I get to do that and work around my kids and do what I love. And I think that's what I love about being a woman today. I think it's every generation, it's getting easier for us to do
what we want.
Obviously to work, but to do what we want. And yes, it's hard work, but to have that option and that choice.
And I think too, working in an industry that you love, with a passion that you love, it makes you successful,
And even bad days are good days.
That's what I love about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, we're getting off tangent there. Let's talk about makeup. So firstly, I wanted to talk about getting up to clients and how they feel in front of the camera, and also about makeup specifically. When I talk to clients about makeup, because obviously they book in and I go through the options with them, and they can obviously use a professional makeup artist or they can do their own makeup. There are 2 comments I get more than anything else, and the first one is that they're very, I suppose, scared of looking too made up. I don't want all that makeup, I'm going to look like a clown, or I suppose they imagine fashion maybe, and that's the vision they have in their head when you think about makeup, because that's where we see it mostly. So you don't notice the natural makeup, do you?
No, that's right.
And the second comment I tend to get a lot is that, look, I don't wear a lot of makeup, and I want to look natural, therefore I don't really need professional makeup, do I? So, I mean, obviously I sort of try and talk them through that, but as a professional makeup artist, what would your response be to those women, and why should they still be using professional makeup?
Yeah, look, I mean, I get the exact same questions and comments, and when I'm doing makeup for brides and even just people for special occasions, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't want it to look, you know, full on. I still want to look myself, and that's really important. As far as professional makeup with photography, it's really important. I feel like it brings the whole shoot together, and there is a balance. I'm definitely a minimalist. I myself know what it's like to be overdone, and I think it's important to, yes, we do need to go a little bit stronger when you're behind a camera, just so that pushes through a little bit, but it's being able to do makeup so that you can still look really natural. But basically it just covers all the imperfections that that there are. It gives you that beautiful blank canvas. And, you know, I'm talking blemishes, fine lines, even capillaries, just those, you know, it just really smooths everything out. And I think sometimes it can make us feel good.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, you know, having your hair and makeup done and wearing your tracksuit. Like, until you put that dress on, you know, you really start to feel come into your own.
Yeah, and it's so important to feel confident in front of the camera. So it does. I see the women transform, and when they look at their hair and makeup and they love it, it like gives them that real boost, and you know they're ready to jump up and they go. They're still nervous, obviously, about the photos, but it gives them that confidence that at least they look great, and that will help them feel great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good. Now I've got all my questions listed here for you. So I suppose not everyone, unfortunately, can afford to invest in a makeup artist for their shoots. Some women do end up doing it themselves. What would your tips be on achieving that natural look on makeup? What's the inside intro on how to do that?
There isn't anything gravely special about, you know, doing your own makeup versus doing having a professional makeup artist, other than you know, we have a lot of experience and knowledge. But as far as products go, I mean, my biggest tip would be to know what's in your products. There's one key ingredient that can wreak a little bit of havoc with photography, and generally it's direct flash that we have the issue with, but it's titanium dioxide. Now titanium dioxide is the main ingredient in your sunscreens, but it's also in a lot of your powders and some of your foundations. It's not a huge problem. I get a lot of people say, you know, what products do you use, because I don't want it to react with flash. The flash these days, you know, tend to cope a bit better with it, but we're talking direct flash as opposed to bounced flash, and it can give you that sort of white look. So if anyone's ever taken their photo behind their iPhone or a digital camera and they look a little bit like Casper the Ghost, you don't actually look like that, but it's just it's flashback.
And that's part of the problem with photography, that I think people see those photos of themselves. So when it comes to getting the professional shots done, they avoid it forever and ever, because they think they're not going to look great in photos, because they're the ones we're looking at every day. But they don't realise that once they've got the professional makeup, the professional lighting, the professional posing, they're going to look amazing.
That's right. So I mean, that's as far as ingredients, but a light coat of foundation, and you know, if you're someone who likes to enhance your lips or your eyes, you know, a little bit of makeup there, and that just smooths everything out and can make all the difference.
I was going to say, do you have any particular tips for lips and eyes? Because often, I know because I'm hopeless with makeup, and I probably wear eyeshadow like twice a year because I just don't understand how to do it. But I know that, you know, the whole point about eye makeup is it's supposed to bring them out, and the same with lips, you know, it gives you that colour.
Oh look, it really is so different,
person
to person, and it depends on their features and so forth. What I can tell you is that you know, you definitely don't want to bring out the eyes, bring out the cheeks, bring out the lips. There's a lot sort of going on there. So you want to kind of pick your favourite feature and make that the focal point.
Yeah.
You know, there are some people who don't like their teeth or don't like their mouth. Probably wouldn't be the best thing to be wearing bright lips and, you know, so dull that down a little bit and make the eyes the feature and ham up the cheeks a little bit. But, yeah, it does really depend on, you know, each person.
Yeah, and your colouring and
your colourings, definitely.
Another thing I've heard quite a lot is that they say you should stay away from anything that shimmers and shines because it will shine on camera.
Yeah.
And that you should just really use matte foundations, which you talked a little bit about before with ingredients and stuff and shine. But is that true? And if so, then how do you get that natural glow that everyone talks about?
So I guess what you're talking about is, you know, there are eyeshadow products. There's also powders that have lots of shimmery, shiny ingredients in it. I would, and depending on age as well, I definitely would recommend pulling away from all your glittery sort of products. However, highlighter, which is my favourite thing, initially when you put it on you don't notice that it's really on, but once you turn in certain lights, and that can be our absolute friend, just capturing, you know, different lights, and it can bounce
contour in your face and
a little bit, but even just on the cheekbones and that's where you get that real little glow.
That's a good tip.
Highlighter. That's the one you want.
I've wanted to ask you as well, do you apply your makeup differently if you're doing it for a photo shoot, or is that all basically what you're telling us now about?
I don't necessarily apply it differently. I probably apply it a little bit more heavily. Again, just so it doesn't get lost in translation through the camera. And often I'll say to the ladies that I do work on, you know, it might be a little bit heavier than what you're used to, but get Fee to show you one of the photos behind the camera, and I think you'll feel that it's come through quite naturally. So no differently to what I would apply on a bride or on someone who's just going out for an occasion.
And what about things like age or skin colour? Because again, everyone varies. I mean, I'm in the older age bracket now. You know, would you do, for example, or maybe even an older woman again, as opposed to a 20-something, in terms of, you know, foundation and thickness?
Definitely. Look, the more mature we get, the finer our skin becomes. And the more product you put on the skin, you're actually enhancing all of those qualities, which isn't necessarily what we want to bring to the forefront. So softening everything back a little bit, often using a really thin liquid product as opposed to matte heavy product on someone who's a lot younger. Even often just a tinted moisturiser. You know, or a BB cream which has got that, you know, light tint in it as well, can work beautifully on someone who's maturing. Pull back the colours, and this is one of the things that I say to my students all the time. On a more maturing person, we might want to pull back the colours. That doesn't mean that you can't wear colour. It's great to be able to bring through your personality and wear all the colours that you want, but it's just softening the colours. You know, instead of wearing heavy blacks, maybe move to a brown, you know, a darker brown, or a charcoal grey or something like that, just really softening everything off a little bit. So. And
in terms of skin colour as well, is it just about matching foundations?
It's really about matching foundations. It can be quite tricky. I find matching colours to really pale skin the hardest. The darker I get, I find it not as difficult. But that's probably one of the hardest things.
You must have a lot of products in your bag. I mean, I've seen your case that you bring in here. Do you love that part of the job, that it's a bit of a perk that you get to go out and play with all the makeup?
I love it. It's so much fun. And, you know, the cosmetic industry is just, it's huge, and there are every day, every week there's a new product that's coming out.
And I have to say, I'm a little bit scared by the makeup industry. Like,
Yeah.
I don't buy much makeup, I just buy what I need and what I know.
And lots of people are.
Yeah. How do you navigate that? Like, how do you, because I know there's a lot of gimmicks that come through as well. There's a lot of talk about what's good and bad ingredients and...
Oh, look, for me it's easy because it's easy for me to buy the product so that I can have a play, use it if I like it or not. Because I teach, I find that that's great. I can sort of, flow that through to my classes and give the opportunity to my students to have a play and see what they like and see what they don't like. So I find that easier. However, I do understand, it's expensive. And so what is a gimmick and what isn't? I guess you've just got to be a bit savvy in, I do find that specific products that are purposely for an area have a bit of a price tag to it. Your makeup primers tend to be a lot more expensive because they're just for priming the face. However, here's a tip for you. Moisturiser and primer are essentially the same thing.
That's good to know.
Primer just has extra silicone and glycerin in it, which gives it that real soft, silky sort of texture. So, if you're not wanting to go out and spend huge volumes of money, you don't have to. You don't have to spend lots of money on really expensive products. You want to make sure that, if we're talking about eyeshadow, you want to make sure that there's a lot of pigment in the eyeshadow. Wipe the eyeshadow on the back of your finger and if it's the same colour as it stands in the palette, then it holds a lot of pigment. But if you're constantly having to build that colour up to get what's in the palette, then it doesn't hold a lot of pigment. It's not worth buying the product. So, I mean, it is tricky.
It's probably like most things in life, you have to not get sucked in by the marketing straight away, which sometimes happens to me. And instead sort of take a step back and maybe even do a bit of research online. And
Not
and
there are so many blogs and websites that break down products and
that is a great thing about the internet today, isn't it? And lots of testimonials, reviews, better word.
Definitely.
So what are your favourite products at the moment, and does that change often?
Always. Although I go through long periods of time that I use products. For most of my life I used Revlon Colour Stay, and I do really like that. I exercise a lot, so I do like to have a product that isn't going to sweat off if I haven't had an opportunity to clean my face before I go and exercise. So I have always loved that. I have moved away from that a little bit now, and I'm using I love MAC bronzer. It's sort of been my go-to, and I've used that for quite some time. What else do I use? I love Hourglass highlighter. At the moment, it's one of my absolute favourites from Mecca.
What about concealers? Because I'm someone who has dark rings under her eyes, and I find it really hard to find a good concealer.
This is my baby. I'm the same. I've always suffered with dark circles under my eyes. So I'm always looking for that concealer. And for me, I prefer something that's got a bit of an extra thickness, inconsistency to it. Well, other people like it to be quite thin. For a long time I used a product called Dermablend, which was actually specifically formulated for scarring and birthmarks, and it covers tattoos and things like that, so it's got quite some thickness to it. But at the moment I've just gone back to a Revlon concealer again. It's got that quite thick consistency, but it's really good. And for anyone who is using a concealer, again, it's another one of those things that gets often misused. It should be used after your foundation. A lot of people put it on first. But you want to make sure you put it on after your foundation, so that once you put your foundation on, you're not wiping away all that hard work that you've done in covering up. And you want to make sure that it's about half a shade to a shade lighter than your foundation.
Because you're trying to make it lighter.
Because you're trying to, take away from it being noticeable.
Another good tip. Thank you. So we should finish up soon. So I think what I wanted to finish with was, if there was one mistake you see people making the most with their makeup, what would that be?
One.
Just give us one.
It's probably matching their foundation.
When you get that line here, because I'm always so scared I have that line.
And look, it's probably a bit of a combination of two things. It's getting the colour match right, which can, if you don't get it right, it can really give you either a line here, or if you tend to blend it down, it becomes, well, where do I stop? Because then you end up a line down here and a line down here.
So where do we get it wrong? Like how do we get it right?
Yeah, really making sure that you've got the right colour to begin with. And then secondly, just making sure that you roll just underneath this area. You really just want to have a shadow. Don't have to come down further. The times that you would need to blend further down is if, sometimes if you're working on people that have had spray tans and you've got that real difference, which can be quite difficult to do makeup on and get that match in colour, but no, you just want to have it sit as a little shadow.
Is the back of the hand still like the go-to
place?
It's
the $1 million question for you. It says, where do I test that? No, you want to, you can, I would usually test along the jawline, so put a bit of foundation on the side of your face, but what you're wanting to do is you're actually wanting to test your décolletage. So you want to make sure that your face matches your chest, so it doesn't look like you've popped someone else's head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So from here to here, it wants to look lovely and even.
I'm going to go home and test mine right now. So to finish up, what are your maybe one or two tips, your top tips for making people look great in terms of makeup in front of the camera?
Yeah.
And it's probably you've already mentioned them today, but maybe.
So I guess just to recap, definitely either a light coverage, if you're doing your own makeup, a light coverage of foundation, and don't be afraid to put a bit of extra makeup on. You will still look very natural, but it will just help come through even better. But if you are having a professional makeup done, trust in the process. Make sure that you communicate to your makeup artist how you feel about how you want your makeup to look, how you feel you don't want it to look. Trust in the process and be confident.
You're so right, because all of my clients, again, they love the way they look after the makeup, but it's convincing them before they come in that it's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
And part of that is also just showing examples of before and afters, which I'm trying to do a little bit more online and on my website, because I think even though we all know that in our heads, we still don't believe it. We still look at those photos and say, I could never look like that.
Definitely.
When of course we all can look like that.
We
come from a professional. Awesome tips. So thanks heaps for today and all that, giving me your time. Just a quick little note at the end. Dan has actually agreed to come in and give us a makeup masterclass in the studio. I meet a lot of amazing women through my work, either that I work with or that come in for shoots, and I've been thinking for a while now that it would be really nice to get them in to the studio on weekends throughout the year to share their knowledge with us. And Dan's going to be the first one. So what's the date? Saturday the 20th of August. I think it's going to be 1 till 4, but all the details will come up on my blog and on social media in the next month or so. Dan's going to come in and do a bit of a makeup masterclass for people that want to book. I think we're going to limit it to about 10 people, so it's going to be a small intimate group, working with Dan one-on-one. Do you want to say a little bit about what you're going to do?
So it'll be great. We'll hopefully I can have a chat to you about some industry tips and tricks and some of those things that I've just recently discussed that lots of people have never known or would love to know. So that'll be really good. We're going to cover off all your base makeup. We'll talk about colours. We'll talk about concealing certain areas of the skin, and then we'll move on to eyes, which is the one thing that people want to usually know the most about. So, hopefully I can show you how to make your features the best they can be.
And I think I actually created this class because I wanted to do it.
Good.
I've been dying to do something like this for ages. And importantly, it's going to be practical as well. So people will be sitting around tables with Dan, and we'll all be doing our own makeup as she teaches us, which I think is really important, because that's where, you know, it's okay to listen to someone, but to go home and then do it, it's like,
but having someone there to sort of say, you're doing that great, or maybe change it to this.
So stay tuned, because the details for that will come out through my newsletter. If you opt in there, you'll be the first to hear about it, if you want to make sure you get a place. And obviously again on my social media and on my blog. So thanks again, Danielle. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening if you're still with us. Have a great day.